brown bag of sand sits on the porch. The price tag reads $5. The sand is coarse and grey. A hand pours the sand on the wood. The grains spread along the porch base. A snake slides toward the porch. The snake stops at the sand line. The snake turns back to the woods. A spider walks across the dry yard. The spider hits the sand and retreats. A scorpion crawls from the woodpile. The scorpion stops at the gritty band. This trick is over 100 years old. Old backwoods folks used it every spring. They walked their cabins snake-free. Then the spray bottles came to town, $60 for a small spray can. The brown bag of sand was forgotten. Welcome to Hidden Timber Ret, the channel for buried backwoods truth. If this matters to you, hit subscribe. Tap the bell so you never miss a video. Go back to 1915 rural Georgia. A pine flat south of Macon, deep south. A homesteader named Jesse Holt lives there. A small cabin, a long wooden porch. A cypress swamp sits behind the cabin. Rattlers come up from the swamp. They curl under the porch boards. They sleep in the cool shadow. Jesse cannot afford the snake mesh. He walks down to the old creek bed. He hauls back coarse river sand. He spreads the sand around the porch. He spreads it under the cabin steps. He spreads it along the crawl space. He spreads it under the woodpile. He spreads it around the chicken coop. By the first week, the rattlers stop. The copperheads turn back at the line. The brown recluse never crosses the band. The scorpions retreat into the woods. Jesse sleeps on that porch in peace. 30 summers, no snakes near the cabin. This video is just the surface. I gathered everything the industry buried. All of it sits in the forbidden hunter's vault. Sub-zero camp heat from plain field logic. Dead wood firecraft modern campers never learned. Invisible camp setups for the backcountry. Appalachian meat storage that still works. Whitetail funnel logic to read the woods. Boot and shelter ceiling tricks, all old. 8 modules in one place, no filler. The link is the first one in the description. Stay here, the video is just starting. The trick spread across the pine flats. Old farm wives in Texas used the same, wives in Alabama and Louisiana too. Ranchers in Arizona used it on bunkhouses. Cowboys in West Texas used it on tents. The pattern spread for generations. The science behind it is simple and clean. A snake glides on smooth belly scales. The belly skin is soft and exposed. The coarse grain cuts into the belly. A rattler cannot crawl across the sand. The sand grinds the spider's soft feet. The sand wears down the scorpion joints. Jesse never bought a spray bottle once. His cabin ran clean for 30 years. Then the plastic fence arrived to market. The sandbag was quietly forgotten. Now look at the science of the sand. The Department of the Interior studied snakes. They tracked snake movement for 10 years. Snakes cannot glide over rough grit at all. Grain size of 1/8 inch blocks them. The smooth belly needs smooth ground to push. Remove the smooth ground, the snake stops. Most snakes turn back after 2 feet. Compare that to a $60 spray. Snake away is sulfur and naphthalene. The spray washes away in the first rain. Coarse sand stays for the whole season. Spring, summer, fall, the band holds. A snake mesh fence costs $800. A yearly pest spray costs $400. The University of Texas ran a sand test. They ran 20 snakes across a sandband. 18 of 20 turned back fast. Arizona State tested wild scorpions next. The sand cut scorpion crossings by 80%. Louisiana tracked brown recluse in barns. Sightings dropped from 19 to under 2. Old farm agents taught the sand recipe. Every new homesteader learned the method. Now those same offices hand out spray flyers. The shift took 40 quiet years to finish. The numbers above should already make you uncomfortable for sure. But the next part is where the real story turns very dark indeed. If you made it this far, you already know more about snake control than most cabin owners in the entire United States ever will know. Subscribe and share this with someone who still trusts the old real backwoods knowledge over a $60 jug of snake repellent. The full vault is sitting at the very top of the description below. Now stay with me. The next part of this matters even more than rest. So why does almost nobody talk about a plain bag of coarse sand now? Why did this knowledge disappear from every hardware store front sign? Why is it missing from every modern home and cabin show on the air? The pest control industry makes billions on snake and spider gear, sprays, granules, traps, mesh fences. Monthly service contracts too, annual pest plans, snake exclusion work, Crawl space ceiling fees. A simple $5 bag of coarse sand threatens that whole model. You cannot patent a mineral that gets dug out of any riverbed. You cannot lock away a bag that any hardware store has on a pallet. You cannot build a brand around a thing a mason uses for mortar. The model needs you confused, dependent, and shopping for new gear. Coarse sand is the opposite of every part of that whole pest machine, so it had to be quietly removed from the modern cabin care talk. Magazines stopped printing it. Hardware clerks stopped recommending. Home shows stopped mentioning it on every spring cleaning episode, and a whole generation of cabin owners grew up never once hearing it. That is not an accident. That is the slow burial of real knowledge. And the only way to bring it back now is to share it out loud today. Think how many cabin owners spend hundreds on snake control yearly. The Pest Management Association reports billions spent each year, billions of dollars on snake and spider gear across the country, and the chemical sprays have not slowed those sightings by much. The bag of sand never had a marketing budget or a cable ad spot, but the old folks who used it kept their porches clean for years. Here is exactly what to do this weekend out at your cabin or home. Take a clean $5 bag of coarse builder sand from the store. Look for bags labeled coarse grade or sharp sand on the front side. Skip the fine play sand because the grain is too smooth to work well. Skip the pool filter sand because it is too rounded on every grain. Grab a flat garden shovel and a cheap plastic bucket to carry sand. Walk the base of your cabin porch all the way around the edge line. Pour a thick band of coarse sand along the porch skirt and the base. Make the band at least 6 inches wide and 2 inches deep on ground. Pour the same band under the cabin steps and around each step rise. Pour the same band around the chicken coop and under the shed floor. Pour the same band around the woodpile and under the stacked logs. Pour the same band at the base of every crawl space entry opening. Rake the sand flat so no smooth path cuts through the gritty band. Watch for the change by the end of the very first week of spring. Most cabins see snake and spider activity drop to almost nothing. Compare that to a $60 jug of granule that lasts 2 weeks. Compare that to an $800 snake mesh fence install. Compare that to a yearly pest plan that runs over $400. A neighbor of mine ran this trick on his cabin porch last April. He cleared a rattler problem that had lasted him almost 5 years. He spent $5 on the bag and $0 on any snake repellent. Another cabin owner in Florida ran the same trick on his pool deck. He cleared a brown recluse nest in under 2 weeks of spreading it. A backwoods family in Arizona has used the sand trick for 2 decades. Their porch has not seen a bark scorpion since the year 2000. The proof keeps showing up wherever a person actually tries the sand. But you will never read those stories in a glossy garden magazine. I do need to be honest with you about one limit of this whole method. Heavy rain can wash the thin edges of the sand band down to the dirt. You will need to rake the sand back into place after every hard rain. Top up the band once or twice per spring, and once at the full start. The sand will not stop a snake that is already inside the cabin wall. This is backwoods knowledge, not a magic shield against every bite. Always clear brush and wood piles back from the cabin walls as well. This knowledge did not die in the pine flats. It waited in the sand. It waited in creek beds behind 10,000 old southern homesteads. It waited for someone to walk it back out into the open air again. If this video made a difference, subscribe and share it out today. Every share keeps one more buried backwoods method alive for someone. The complete Forbidden Hunter's vault is at the top of description. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside is even heavier still. This was just one method out of dozens still buried in the hills. And every share of this video pulls another one back into the light. Old backwoods knowledge does not need a marketing plan to win out. It only needs one cabin owner at a time to remember what worked, and to pass that method along to the next porch down the dirt road. That is how every buried method ever came back from the dark woods.